All right, good morning. I'm Dave Jones. Welcome to Western Principles webinar, introducing you to the newly released Project for the Web and how you might use it in your company for better delivery of marketing campaigns. We always like to begin with the end in mind, so we're going to start with three things for you to think about as we show you the new Project for the Web today. Project for the Web continues Microsoft's tradition of excellence in project and portfolio management solutions. But at the same time, it's different from a traditional project management system, and Microsoft is building new ways to work into the solution. Project for the Web is intended for planning and managing simple projects. It's easy to use, it's easy to learn, and today it's the right tool for a variety of simple collaborative initiatives like you might have in a marketing department, an accounting department, or customer services, and many other departments. And from a technical side, Project for the Web is part of the Office 365 family, and it's extensible with the Power Platform. So, for example, you can easily create dashboards with Power BI, drive integration with Flow, or create forms and workflows in Power Apps. You'll also find that it's tightly integrated to Dynamics 365, giving you a good connected ERP platform. And one more thing, it's easy to learn, and it's really easy to use. And that makes it easy to adopt and easy to drive value into your organization. Let's get looking at the software. So our story today, we're telling a short story about a fictional Canadian company that has its head office in Vancouver and uses an advertising company in Toronto. The company's introducing a new product, and the VP of Marketing needs a campaign run for this. Unfortunately, the VP never really knows what's happening with campaigns. They're all organized and run on spreadsheets, and there's no way to coordinate all these different types of campaigns, from print to out-of-home to search engine optimization, paid advertising. There's just a mountain of spreadsheets, but no way to get real information. She's heard about Project for the Web and how it can facilitate easy organization, communication, and collaboration. So she gets her director of marketing and her advertising agency collaborating together with it to plan the next campaign. Our advertising director is in Vancouver, and our creative director is in the agency in Toronto. And they're on a Teams call discussing how they're going to run this campaign. So they fire up Project for the Web, and that's where we find them now. So today I'll be the grumpy cat in Vancouver, and my colleague, Dugan, will be the smug baby out in Toronto. And you'll notice we're using memes because, hey, it's marketing, and who doesn't want a campaign that's as successful as a really great meme? So let's get looking at this. We're going to jump over to Project for the Web. Which I've got running here. So Project for the Web is running inside a browser in this case, and we're running inside the new Edge browser. And what you can see here is a nice, simple, clean user interface. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by just simply clicking New Blank Project. So we're going to get into here a bit of a whiteboard that's going to help us walk through creating a campaign easily. And the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to give this project a name. So we're going to be working on the blue campaign today. And I can specify a start date for this work. So it's going to start here, I don't know, November 4th. We'll start this next week. I can also specify in here what our work hours are going to be for this project. Once I've done that, the next thing I can do is go out and figure out who's going to be on my team to help me actually run the campaign. So I can come in here and I can specify names and create a team. Or the other way I can do this is I can come in and I can just simply grab a group, an existing group. So that's what I'm going to do for this purpose. And I'm going to grab my marketing campaign team. And now we can go ahead and start building out our project. So what we're going to do, my smug baby colleague at the agency and I, we're going to start putting together a campaign. So we're going to be building out this blue campaign, and we're going to start throwing ideas up on this board. So here we have, as I said, like a whiteboard, and we have these cards. And these cards are really easy to use. They're super intuitive. So no training required. And I compare this essentially to, the VCR of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, where you'd have to, it was almost a programming language on its own to figure out how you're going to create or save a show. And now you just pick up your remote control and literally say, record Saturday Night Live, and it starts the recording for you. So in this case, all we're doing is we're going in and we're entering some campaign information. So let's see what I'm going to add in here. And as I'm adding this in, my colleague is actually going to be adding in some things as well. Hang on here as I start typing. So I think one of the first things we're going to need to do is we're going to need to determine our campaign goals. So let's just put that in here. You can see my colleague is actually putting in other cards here. So I'm going to assign this out. I'm going to say this is something that a number of us have to do together as we figure out what these goals are going to be. And maybe I want to add a little more detail to this, so I can double click on this thing once I've created it. Single click on it rather. And I can do things like set the duration here. This is going to take us a day to do. I can also add notes in here. And so we go ahead and we continue to add these cards in, building this out. And as we build out our campaign, we're throwing ideas at the wall. We can start to think about, well, how do these come together? What do they look like? And I can flip over to my grid view. And here in my grid view, I can start to add a little bit more information. Now, I can also look at different types of information. So maybe I want to ultimately look at what's my % complete on these things, what's my start date, what's my finish date, and various other components or pieces of information. The other thing that's neat about what they've done with Project for the Web is you can see here it says dependence after and dependence before. And what's important about this simple little verbiage change from traditional project management is traditionally we talked about predecessors and successors. And what Microsoft did when they put this new product together is they talked to a lot of people about how do you run projects and what lingo do you understand when you create projects. And people understand that activities have to happen after or before. But a predecessor and a successor, well, that's industry lingo, and it's I'm going to say simply not intuitive a lot of the time to project managers who are maybe doing project management for the first time. Inside this interface, I can click on the little I here, and it's going to open up details about this activity. And in here, it's easy to assign people. I'm just going to click on the little person, and I can easily grab other individuals to assign to activities. I can also do that directly from this line item. So I can grab the little person here and assign people to these activities. So as part of kind of a process around putting your project together, you go in, you create the cards, you put your ideas down, and then you add a little bit more detail to these things, like how long are these activities going to take? And from here what we do is say, well, this is all interesting and nice, but I really need to build out a picture to show the vice president so that the vice president understands how is this project actually going to happen, how is this marketing campaign going to get off the ground. So we come over here to the timeline view. And in the timeline view, it's really easy to organize your activities. So the first thing we need to do is determine our campaign goals. Well, I just grab the little handle here, and when I hover over it, my pointer becomes a hand, and I pull it up to the top. And the next thing I'm going to do is define my success criteria. So I pull that up to the top. Beyond that, I'm going to be figuring out my campaign goals and then selecting my communication media. So these are already in order, and that's great. And to actually turn this into a plan, what I need to do is organize these things. So I can grab the little icon here and just pull down an arrow to my other activities. And this scheduling media in here, scheduling method, what it's doing is it's also enforcing some of the important rules of scheduling. So for example, I can't do I can't create a circular reference. If I try and grab this and pull it back up to another activity, I'm going to get an error, and it's actually going to delete that bad join. The other thing I can do with this is I can grab the little bars and I can pull them around. So if that activity is going to be shorter, I can move it. And what you notice is as I move it, the other activities are moving. So in comparison to using a spreadsheet, for example, where you're hard coding dates in, it's not an active plan. So as other dates move around it, your schedule doesn't actually reschedule. Where in Project for the Web, it's doing exactly that. We've given you a nice, clean, easy-to-use interface. It's actually a schedule. It's looking at this that I've got a weekend here, so it's actually not moving things around because I've got a weekend. But if I pull it across the weekend, it will. So that's what our schedule looks like as we put it together. What you can see there is it was really easy, it was really fast, and it was co-authoring, which is totally unique in the sense of I'm actually sitting here throwing things up at this board and managing the schedule, and at the same time my colleague sitting in a totally different city is doing the same thing. So we're working on this together, and that's a new way of working. It's a new paradigm for project management, and it's really coming along quickly for us. One final thing in this on the schedule itself is Project has multi-level undo in it, which is critically important as you're moving these schedules around and starting to play with things. So the multi-level undo is just simply Control Z, and it will undo many of the changes that you've done. So we're going to go from this, and I'm going to jump over to a different campaign because we're going to go look at one that's actually more built out. We're going to go look at this green advertising campaign. So this green advertising campaign has essentially the same activities in it, but we've just organized them a little bit more. So you can see here we've indented some of these activities under the create brief and some of these under create campaign. And if we go look at the timeline, what we'll see is some of these activities should already be completed. You can see this red line here is indicating our current date, and these are the activities that should already be completed. Statusing a schedule in Project for the Web is super easy. You can see the little circle here, and when I hover over it I get a check mark. If I click on that, I hope you could hear the ping. There's a nice big loud ping, and it shows me that this is 100% complete now. There's a couple of other ways I can status this. I can go into the information for the activity, and I can come down here and say, well, this one is actually 75% complete. And as soon as I do that, you'll see the little icon bar here fills up with 75% in blue. The other way I can actively update activities is I come over to the board, and quite simply I can grab an activity like research target market and pull it over to in progress. And now this is marked as in progress. So what we've shown you here is Project for the Web is super easy to use. It's quick to create plans, and it's quick to status plans. We're going to go back to the start of our story now, and if you remember at the start of our story we had the VP of Marketing, and she was concerned about where are all my campaigns and how do I look at all of these campaigns that are going on. And Project for the Web gives you two ways to look at that. The first is what's called a roadmap. So if we go over here to our marketing campaign roadmap, what we'll see is all of the campaigns that are set up on this roadmap. And in this you can mark in milestones, you can select the activities that you want to put in here, and it's easy to join your schedule into this campaign. So we're going to pull in our red campaign. I'll give it an owner here, and we're going to connect to the project. And here's our red campaign right here, so it's just going to search for it. We pull it up quickly and easily. And we're going to connect to it. And what it will do next is it'll bring up the activities that are inside the project, and I can drop those right into my roadmap now. So I want all three of these showing up in my roadmap, and I just hit add. And there's my red campaign with those three activities in it. I can go in and I can color these. to show how are they doing. I can also go in and add key dates to my roadmap. So for example, if we've got Black Friday, which must be out around here somewhere, I can add that in, and there's my key date. Okay. So we've shown you Project for the Web, really easy to use, and we've shown you the roadmap, also very easy to use. There's one other campaign media that the Vice President might be interested in, and that's using Power BI reports. So Project for the Web has provided Power BI reports through this template. And what the template does is gives you easy access to see all of the projects that are going on in your environment. So here we can see all of the projects, and I can see important things in these as I drill down into it about when these projects are starting and when they're finishing. I can also drive down and look at my resources, which is an exciting area because now I can start to look at who's scheduled on things and how are they doing. So if I have a number of campaigns that I'm trying to kick off, I can look at, am I over allocating people? Am I getting too thin on my people to actually complete these projects successfully? And I can drill right down and say, what are they actually assigned to? So Power BI is giving you really good insights to make quick business decisions that'll help you be more successful. All right, coming back out of this. The next steps for you are to think about how are you going to use Project for the Web? How are you going to be more successful on your projects? So when you start looking at your marketing department, you can start thinking about things like how do you build better campaigns with collaboration and integrated planning? And how can you do better on your campaigns? And one quick and easy answer is start using Project for the Web. It's a great collaboration and communication tool. Also, you can look for other areas in your business that are doing projects and need a tool and assess their needs. Do they have light and easy projects? Then Project for the Web is the right answer. Are they more sophisticated in nature? Then perhaps Project Online is the right answer. The other thing you should be doing is asking for help. So this is the sort of work we do, and we can help you determine the best project management tool to suit your needs, to help you get it up and running fast so that you improve your project's visibility, you improve your on time and on budget and on scope delivery, and you drive that important return on investment. If you're interested in learning more about Project or implementing Project for the Web or Microsoft Project Online, we're here to help. Let's go.